Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
It's a State of the Offense Tuesday here on Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. Thank you to those of you, several hundred of you, it looks like, click the subscribe button and the like button on the Ventline episode or the Monday Hottest Vikings Take. So if you're new, welcome into Purple Daily. 365 days a year talking Vikings football here. Phil Mackey, the sports dad. Judd Zulgad, longtime lead Vikings beat writer, Star Tribune.
Got a red pen now, too.
ESPN.
Check it out, huh? How about
red
that?
Pen.
The O'Connell red pen, because he always says, I love to go through the plays, and it's red pen day when I do.
Wow.
That's why I loved sitting next to John Holler of Vikings Update when I used to cover Vikings games at US Bank. Highlighter for every different quarter, different plays. That dude wrote down every single play that happened. It wasn't
the Jerry curls and the jorts.
Unless he was outside smoking.
And the cigarette smoke that was leaking off. I was getting contact
smoker.
high. And yeah, it was great.
And our executive producer, mustached Declan, until the Vikings lose. We'll see if he shaves it live on the show. Hey, before we get into the state of the offense and the different categories, we will also get to on this show the biggest Vikings fan we know, Randy in Cottage Grove, supposedly has a stud stable from week one. So we look forward to his return here. You saw, maybe if you were watching on YouTube, you saw those glorious Roku TVs. Man, my wife and I bought a brand new 65-inch 4K Roku TV a couple weekends ago. One of the great decisions we've made. Roku is America's #1 TV streaming platform, offering streaming players, a new lineup of smart TVs, and all access to your favorite free and premium TV, live news, sports. Perfect for football season. Learn more at Roku.com or shop at a retailer near you. Roku.com or a retailer near you. Also, Renaissance Festival is going on between now and the end of September. Go to the Score North app to get a 4-pack of tickets or register to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Renaissance Festival. Listener rewards, Score North mobile app. And it's open weekends until September 29th. You can throw axes, wield swords, watch live armored combat jousting, see people that are actual Vikings roaming around, tasty turkey legs, Nordic meatballs, pork belly burnt ends, talk dirty. Great place for the family. Discounted tickets at renaissancefest.com. Okay, now that the messaging is out of the way here, boys, let's dive into the state of the offense. We'll do this every single Tuesday throughout the regular season.
Missed this.
Where does the Vikings offense rank in key categories after 1 week?
First.
Not quite, actually. There's some work to be done here.
Oh, okay.
Yards per play, 6th. Points per game, 9th.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I mean, like the Saints put 40-some-odd points up on the Panthers.
You get to play the Panthers. You're very fortunate.
Offensive expected points added, so we will mix in some analytical categories. So EPA, 7th. Offensive DVOA, 8th. Third down conversion rate, 20th. Declan brought that up yesterday. Turnover rate, they did turn the ball over twice, 24th. Red zone touchdown rate. So at what percentage are you converting trips to the red zone into touchdowns? First, 100%. They're tied for first. That's
important right there.
So a good start against a really bad team. But let's start with, every week I'll bring a small handful of categories offensively that we can dive into different trends or questions or whatever it is. So category number 1 here is Sam Darnold. He was the #1 ranked quarterback in week 1, according to Pro Football Focus, just ahead of number 2, Patrick Mahomes. Just what did you make of that? What did you make with your eye test? And then what did you make once the analytics came out and the PFF grades that sort of validated one of the best performances, quite frankly, not that there's a high bar, of his career at this point?
You know, I thought that just from an eye test perspective, and the stats didn't surprise me. Like he had a very good day, and you can even get around the pick because his arm was tipped. I mean, it's not ideal, but his arm was hit. But anyway, I thought it was really a testament to the work that Kevin O'Connell and Darnold had done for the last few months to prepare, not just for that game, but the season. And, JJ McCarthy, make no mistake, was going to be a huge focus. And until he got hurt, he was, and quite frankly, he still is. But you never had the feeling in training camp practices that it was like Darnold had been backburnered. Like he got the majority of the work, almost all of the work in training camp with the first team. Like he got the reps. You could see what he did well. You could see what he didn't do well. You could see where he probably could use some help from his play caller, which he got. So it's interesting because I really thought what that was just sort of a testament to the work that had been done between coach and quarterback. Now, it's interesting because Jim Suhan in today's Star Tribune had a column on the fact that Darnold's first games have been really good across the board. His first game with the Jets, they destroyed, I think, the Panthers. His first game with the Panthers, he was great. So as Jim pointed out, and he's right, the question now is, can you keep the consistency up? Because it looks like he's the type of guy who makes a mark. And, that's also a testament to the fact that he is a physically talented dude. Like Sam Darnold has an arm. If you were to construct a quarterback, Sam Darnold has a lot of things physically that you would actually take. But I think the question is, okay, now teams have film, right? Like Sunday's game, you put a lot on film and tendencies. So yes, O'Connell will try to adjust to those as well, but Darnold does too. So I think that this is just the beginning of, and we've discussed this, what I believe to be one of the most interesting storylines of the entire season. And that is sort of the evolution of a rehabilitation potentially of a career. And so like we saw, chapter 1, there is at least 17 chapters. Chapter 1 was good, but now the question is against a better team, obviously, far superior in San Francisco on Sunday. What does chapter 2 look like?
I thought the entire offensive stew, and once we get to the running back portion, I want to bring up something too that I kind of found on NFL GSIS, that if that's a trend that can continue for the Vikings offense long term, that we'll get into in a bit. But I thought he made all the throws and they put him in the exact position that you need Sam Darnold to be successful for. Like if Darnold's going to drop back 40 times, like I don't like the Vikings' chances necessarily to win a game. You have to kind of have the kid gloves on him, but you have upgraded the tires on the car. You have Justin Jefferson in the engine, right? You have brand new brake pads and Aaron Jones. Like he's just driving a better car. And it just feels like if they continue on the nice cruise control that they're on, they don't have to rev up that engine, baby. You don't have to be taking fast corners. You got a straight shot. Just don't crash the car, dude. And that's what it feels like Sam Darnold has to do this year.
I think my two favorite, digging deeper here, this is from PFF, my two favorite Sam Darnold stats. So if we get away from like the back of the football card and stuff, among all the quarterbacks who qualified, so there were 32, I guess, obviously. I don't think any backups came in to qualify. So 32 qualified quarterbacks in week 1. And Sam Darnold was 8th in average depth of target. So he was hunting down the field. Quick side street here. So Sam Darnold's average depth of throw, in the air yards per throw, was 9.1 yards, which is, man, if you could do that all season, you'd be like 8th or maybe higher. Anthony Richardson for the Colts, average depth of target, 17.5 yards in the air. Dude, he back foot 70 yards in the air for one of his touchdowns.
It was ridiculous.
Just bombs away, man. And if you look at the bottom of the list, it's a lot of dink and dunkers. Like Daniel Jones was 31st in average depth of throw. Jaden Daniels playing in his first ever game. Bo Nix playing in his first ever game. Gardner Minshew just dink and dunk. So he resisted the urge, or maybe schematically like didn't need to dink and dunk and just throw checkdowns. And then the other one, Darnold has been a little skittish in his career, right? He can see some ghosts and can take some sacks. And by the way, he was pressured a lot in this game, actually, and it was mostly two culprits. It was Garrett Bradbury and Ed Ingram for the most part, or blitzes that the Giants dialed up where there was a free runner. So he had like the third or fourth highest pressure rate. He was pressured on like 40 or 42% of dropbacks. But, and I'm going to get in the weeds here, okay?
Football.
his pressure to sack rate. So can you avoid taking a sack when you are pressured, which is a skill. And I think a lot of times when we talk about offensive lines and quarterbacks, it kind of stops at, well, the offensive line gave up a pressure, therefore there's nothing that the quarterback could possibly do. Oh, my God, a defensive end came around the edge. I'll just curl up in the fetal position. Well, Sam Darnold didn't do that. He had the fourth best pressure to sack rate, lowest meaning. So only of all the pressures, he only took one sack. 9% of pressures he took a sack, which is super in the weeds, and I get that. But if he can keep hunting down the field, and if he can avoid sacks when pressured, those are two really, really important tent poles for being a high-end quarterback in this system or just in any system in the NFL.
And O'Connell and Sam actually talked about the fact that Darnold, because he came into training camp and he immediately hunted down the field and threw some really nice bombs to Jefferson, Addison, and he said that was a primary focus of his, and I'm guessing that it also came from the Vikings coaching staff once he signed here. He said, I wasn't that good at that beforehand, but he's got the arm for it. Yeah. And that 44-yard pass to Jefferson was a thing of beauty. It's double coverage. He drops it into the bucket, basically. So, yeah, I think it's very interesting to watch, and it's going to evolve. It's very interesting to watch Darnold be handled properly. And he does have, I will say this, it looks like he has a better feel for the pocket than Kirk did. And that's how you avoid a sack. You slide, right? You roll, you do things. And he's got the arm to make the throw off balance. So, there's some interesting things here. But, I would look for him to continue to hunt downfield. But conversely, I would look for teams to actually try to stop that more now starting on Sunday.
Does your gut tell you, before we get into the next category here, that it'll all come crumbling down against the next two opponents? I mean, you're playing two premier teams, two absolute Super Bowl favorites, home games, so that's helpful. But Giants and Texans and what those defenses bring, what is your gut telling you right now?
My gut tells me if they had no run game, they'd be screwed beyond belief, but they do. This cannot be, and it wasn't on Sunday. As good as Darnold was, this cannot be the Sam Darnold show. This has to be the Kevin O'Connell show. He is the lead. He is at the front of the stage singing the song. And Darnold, he can play lead guitar, incredibly important, right? But I mean,
he's like Slash. He's like Slash.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Mike Axl Campbell Rose is the front man
of Petty's band, the Heartbreakers, right? Exactly. Very important. But if you have
super mainstream, yeah, that guy,
Tom Petty. You don't know Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers?
I love Petty.
I know who Tom Petty is. You brought up the guy that plays guitar for
Mike
Tom
Campbell.
Petty.
It's fantastic. Anyway, the point is you have to run the ball. And so if they can run the ball against San Francisco and Houston, my gut tells me that they're going to at least give themselves a chance to compete as opposed to becoming completely one-dimensional.
So category 2, let's get into more of the Kevin O'Connell part of this conversation here. To what extent is his quarterback whisperer resume growing? And I know it's week 1, but this dude's kind of on a heater the last 3 or 4 years. If you go back to his last year as offensive coordinator with the Rams, and of course Sean McVay gets the headline credit, but McVay was the head coach and play caller, but KOC was at the hip of Matthew Stafford, helping to turn him into a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback. So, and that work he did with Matthew Stafford vaulted him into the Vikings head coaching job. He comes in, takes the job. Kirk Cousins was kind of a disaster in high leverage situations. Kevin O'Connell talked about getting him to play with a more quiet mind, and bang, 8 fourth quarter comebacks. They're winning games in high leverage situations. Okay, Kirk Cousins goes down after playing some of the best football of his life for the 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the injury last year. Mm-hmm. Josh Dobbs gets off the plane, meets his teammates, barely warms up. Well, Dobbs was 1-9, or his teams were, I should say, when he started a game leading into last year. Passer rating of 75 in his career. KOC brings him in, emergency, And they win the first 2 games with Josh Dobbs, passer rating over 100, and then he kind of settled back into being the Josh Dobbs that, has been a backup journeyman for like 7 years. But Nick Mullins, 2 400-yard games within 3 weeks at the end of last year in KOC system. And then on Sunday, one of the best games of Sam Darnold's career. Now, is he taking Dobbs and Mullins and turning them into MVPs? Nobody can. But the work that he's been doing, his fingerprints, Matthew Stafford to Kirk Cousins, getting something out of Josh Dobbs that nobody else could, getting something out of Nick Mullins that very few can. And then Sam Darnold, right? I don't know. What do you make of his quarterback whisperer resume to this point?
It's very intriguing because, in the case of Dobbs, basically O'Connell, less than a week after Dobbs was traded here, O'Connell guided him, and Dobbs and him collaborated on that win against the Falcons, which was nothing short of a miracle. As Dobbs played more, he went and did his Dobbs stuff, I think, and I don't know O'Connell was thrilled about that. Mullins definitely has the arm, but here's my takeaway, and here's where I think the O'Connell experience either works or it doesn't work for individual quarterbacks. If you go rogue, you're screwed. Mullins goes rogue. He throws the ball. He goes Favre light. He's got the arm, but he doesn't have the arm of Favre. And there's no question. There were times that he decided to go rogue and throw balls. He's getting sacked, and instead of just being like, okay, I'm screwed, he just lofts a pass or he tries to gun a pass. So I think where Darnold has the ability to benefit, especially because he's had the time of knowing that he was going to start alongside O'Connell, is if he takes the direction for the most part, I think it's going to work. And I do think that Kevin O'Connell calls a really good game. I think it was Dan Orlovsky put on Twitter, and it was a great piece. Go check it out. But it's the Josh Oliver Darnold pass. And Orlovsky's explanation was some coaches call plays, some coaches call games. And the way that O'Connell will set you up strategically, if you allow him to, he's got a really good football mind. And so I think holding Dobbs and Mullins, was that really him? Was that not? I don't even care. I look at Kirk, who he definitely propped up. I mean, Kirk went from being a talented dude who underachieved a lot to having a year plus of really solid play. And now with Darnold, I see this as being O'Connell's second act as coach as far as this goes. But I think if you listen to what he wants, I think if you execute what he wants you to do, he puts you in a great chance to succeed, in part because he's smarter than these guys. He thinks the game. He doesn't think that the play. The Orlovsky explanation to me was brilliant. You can call plays, but you're really doing it for a game.
Yeah, it was just to sort of summarize. And by the way, so Trenches with Boone is making its return this week. He is traveling. He's got an illness in the family. So filling in for Alex Boone this week. I think we're going to record tomorrow with Jeremiah Cyrils. So he's going to fill in, former Vikings offensive lineman. And that play is included in the set that we're going to look up. But just to summarize it, it's kind of about the way KOC stacks receivers and concepts. So he used, in this case, Justin Jefferson as kind of a decoy to draw defenders away from the middle of the field.
Yep.
It was a 4 verts concept, and he used Justin Jefferson to draw players away from the middle of the field. And Josh Oliver was able to then go up the seam and find an opening. And it was all, I'm pretty sure Josh Oliver was first read on that play. But the defense pays attention to Justin Jefferson and rolls over a safety. So just little intricacies like that, where sometimes you're using Jefferson for the big chunk play, other times you're using him as a decoy and getting a guy like Josh Oliver open. But yeah, Orlovsky did a great breakdown.
How many plays do you guys think that Jefferson didn't participate in the statistical end of the play on Sunday, but he was a huge participant in why it worked?
Yeah,
the touchdown, no question about it. Like that.
A
The
lot
Naylor
of them,
touchdown was all Jefferson. That's all Jefferson.
And
a
Darnold
great
could
play by
have
Sam.
easily, that touchdown throw to Jefferson, which was a ballsy throw. I think he had Jones, or if it was Chandler, he had him wide open in the flat. That, you could have just checked down, and I think Chandler or Jones get in the end zone no problem on the right side of the field. And he decided to squeeze that ball into JJ, because Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson, and you should definitely trust your star wide receiver near the goal line. But to answer Judd's point, everyone's going to try to take away Jefferson, and then can Darnold just basically methodically start feeding these other options and getting the offense to move down the field.
And he did. He did in the first game. Okay, category number 3 here, the run game. So in 2023, the Vikings made a commitment. We were terrible at running the ball in 2022. Let's go get Josh Oliver. Let's run some heavier personnel packages to start the season.
Football.
And then it didn't work, and they kind of moved away from all of that, and they wound up last year dead last in rushing touchdowns, 29th in rush yards per game, 21st in rush yards per attempt. They were like third or fourth in the league in pass attempts, so they weren't even really trying to run the ball by the end of the year. And then Alexander Mattison, we've talked about, had 0 rushing touchdowns as your starting running back, 180 plus carries. Week 1, some very positive signs. Aaron Jones scored a touchdown. That's awesome. But if we dig deeper, Aaron Jones, he was the highest graded running back in all of week 1. He was second in yards after contact, which, okay, offensive line's going to do what they do or not. It's on you as a running back. It's not always going to be perfectly blocked. Can you find a way to get an extra 5 yards when there's none? I would argue the touchdown he scored, that was not there necessarily, and he bounced it to the outside.
Yep.
He beats the defenders to the pylon. Yes, dude, that is sometimes what you have to do. So if you look at last year, Aaron Jones was top 6 in yards after contact per carry. This is a thing for him. Like, this isn't just a fluke that he was good yards after contact in week 1. He is one of the best running backs, yards after contact per carry. Alexander Mattison was 38th in that category last year. So, again, one game, Giants, all those things, but you've got a real professional, slithery running back there. He scores that touchdown when he probably wasn't supposed to, and he's finding little creases where maybe the plays aren't perfectly blocked, and it looked like a real run game in week 1 to me.
Dex? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is what I'm curious on, too, because Aaron Jones is clearly an upgrade over Alexander Mattison. But Kevin O'Connell, and we have to also keep in mind that Sam Darnold is different than Kirk Cousins. But Kevin O'Connell has always been a very pass-first quarterback, and maybe that was because of necessity, because they had Kirk Cousins and the skeleton of Dalvin Cook in 22 and Alexander Mattison last year. Now maybe you have a good running back. But I wanted to look back on 1st and 10 last season for the Vikings. So on 1st and 10, the Minnesota Vikings ran 195 rushing attempts. So that was 23rd in the NFL. They passed the ball 215 times, again, on 1st and 10. So first play, 1st and 10. That was 9th in the NFL. On Sunday against the Giants, the Vikings ran the ball 8 times, and then they passed the ball 14 times. So they still, on 1st and 10, opted to still pass a lot more on 1st and 10 to give a look of we're going to pass. I wonder if this if eventually, though, this comes back up to being more of an even split, because I think Aaron Jones, they have to establish him. And I think having Sam Darnold pass early and often all the time, I'm not sure that is going to be replicated throughout the year. And if that's not a good area for success, I could be wrong on that. But like we look at teams like San Francisco, who obviously established the run early. Tampa Bay last year with Baker Mayfield, another game-managing type of quarterback. They established the run early on 1st and 10. That's something I want to watch throughout the season as we get a little bit more sample size, too, of does this team and Kevin O'Connell, do they start rushing the ball more on 1st and 10 and not trying to establish the pass down your throat right away?
I bet they do. And I think for O'Connell's sake, I think he's got some run game PTSD, because the one thing, and every coach hates this, but if you're a play caller as well offensively, you really do, is 1st down and 10, you run the ball. Now it's 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13. I mean, those lost yards get to coaches because it's like, okay, now I got to call a 2nd down call that's sort of off my script. So I wonder, as we see this evolve and what Declan is talking about, if we do get more run game. But there's no question. I mean, O'Connell's publicly talked about the fact that for 2 years, starting with Cook, that we have had a situation where it feels like it's 2nd and 12 way too much.
I'm sorry. When I was reading over that, I knew I was like, that wasn't what I was just looking at for the last 10 minutes. I had the defense slipped up. That was my bad. I was trying to improvise. I have like 9,000 tabs open right now. I apologize.
So disregard the last 4 minutes of this podcast here.
I might change my answer.
False
clearly.
start.
Okay.
1st and 15. On 1st and 10 for the offense on Sunday, the Vikings ran the ball 13 times. They only passed 7. So, like, they ended up rushing the ball more on 1st and 10, which was trying to get to my grand point of.
But the first part of it where they were pass heavy last year was correct.
Yes, last year. That was correct.
But they were more
so
run heavy this time around.
On Sunday. Yeah.
PTSD's gone.
Yep.
Okay.
Disregard what I said about the PTSD. It's gone.
That was. I was like, man, I was just looking at this for the last hour and a half. Why does this change?
I hate when that happens. I've done that same thing.
There's
It
also
pisses
like
you
on
off.
NFLG, there's like literally 9 different sliding tabs, and I must have just accidentally fat fingered it right when I got to my take. So that was a great little. I'll cross off that vertical clip.
But no,
sheet
but
for
like
radio.
it makes sense that you would with a really good high end running back and a quarterback that you don't yet trust the way that you trusted Kirk to maybe shoulder more of the load, that you would lean on the run game more early in offense. So I like that trend. Real quick on Kirk, did you see, dude, they hung him out to dry in that game.
Yes.
So Kirk is one of the great play action passers of the last 10 years in the NFL.
Yep.
And I'm going to pull this here. So they were the only team in the league, the Falcons, that did not run a play action in their first game.
There's something going on here, man, right?
What? So this is crazy. So like Tua, for instance, let me see here. Passing concept, play action. So Tua was 10 of 15 on play action, 209 yards, 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill, right? Justin Fields, Bo Nix, a rookie. Let's load up the play action. Let's help him out. Anthony Richardson, let's help him out. Play action time. Kirk Cousins, torn Achilles tendon. 0 called play actions in that game for the Falcons.
Incredible. That's incredible. That's a team that has some very important people that clearly want to start Michael Penix.
I mean, that's a sabotage, right? By the way, Sam Darnold had they called 6 play actions. So even the Vikings weren't like super play action heavy. He was 5 of 6 on play action. His interception did come on a play action.
But as you just said, that is Kirk's meat and potatoes. Like that's what he does. He's Mr. Play Action Pass. And the clip that I saw on Twitter this morning of all of Kirk's throws, like they want him to drive the ball down the field without the ability to plant.
Yeah. And this is where like credit again to Kevin O'Connell for, okay, this is, we don't have a court. You can't just let him sit back there,
right,
Tom Brady style or Patrick Mahomes. And even those guys mix in some play action to help even the best quarterbacks in the league. That's malpractice. And then category 4 here, offensive line. Blake Brandel, second highest graded guard in week 1 among all guards in the NFL.
Nice.
Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw combined to allow only 2 pressures.
Darrisaw is a beast.
Now, Ed Ingram and Garrett Bradbury were both kind of disastrous in the pass protection game, but I would say you're not going to get a perfectly blocked game, and Sam Darnold did face some pressure, but if you're going to get 2 excellent high-end tackle performances and Blake Brandel is going to settle in as a high-end starting left guard, I will take my chances with. And if you need to sub out Ed Ingram at some point for a Dan Feeney or Dalton Reisner comes back, you can make that move. But overall, the run game was there. The offensive line had 3 really good performances, a couple to work on. Okay.
The left side of your line being that good is huge. It's just absolutely huge because now if Brandel can continue anything close to this, 2 tackles you trust completely, a left guard who's really good, right? So like in my opinion, every link of the chain that gets stronger allows the weaker links. It doesn't allow it, like it's not okay, but now your interior is better. So, and I thought I was surprised that at the end of the day, the PFF grades on Bradbury and Ingram were so bad because I thought the play calling and Darnold's ability to move, at least watching the game live, aside from that first series where Dexter Lawrence literally, I think, picked up Ed and threw him into Darnold. Aside from that, they looked okay. So like this is all, again, play calling. And if you have 3/4 or 3/5 of your line that can be counted on, That's pretty damn good. A lot of teams don't have that, by the way.
Yep. So that's your state of the offense here. Week 1, Vikings over Giants. I know it's the Giants, asterisk, obviously. Hey, before we get to Randy in Cottage Grove and what we think is going to be a Week 1 stud stable here, be good to catch up. I think it's the first time we've caught up with him since the draft season. So, biggest Vikings fan we know. Dex got a new set of clubs. The Dexter got a new set of clubs in the mail this weekend from PXG.
I have the right set of clubs. I'm not looking at the wrong tab. I'm not looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at the right set of golf clubs from my friends at PXG, the PXG Black Ops irons. These are game improvement missile launchers, okay? X-Core 2 technology. We talk about football terms. How about X-Core 2 technology, okay? Superior forgiveness as you clear the water and you don't dunk the ball like I would do on most tee shots, because now PXG has given me the upgrade in my game that I've desperately needed. The new Black Ops irons are incredibly easy to hit, and they're only $149.99 a stick. That's a great price for a great golf iron. Go to pxg.com to book a fitting to find these irons, and also if they don't outperform your irons, they will give you a $100 MasterCard rewards card. This offer does end October 7th. Go to pxg.com.
Be like Dex.
Amen. The Dexter going to try and break a hundo with those new sticks. Hey, 97% of people in a research study recently felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. 91% of participants noticed they needed less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. AG1 is nutritional insurance for your day, for your body, trusted by top athletes all over the world and high-end podcasters. AG1 is a simple and comprehensive foundational nutrition supplement for whole body health. Each scoop of AG1, or I'm a travel pack guy myself here, contains whole food sourced ingredients that support gut health, focus, immune health, and more. If there's one product I had to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1. Try AG1. Take ownership of your health. Get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 of these AG1 travel packs with your first purchase when you go to drinkag1.com/purpledaily. That's drinkag1.com/purpledaily.
Guys,
check it out.
Quickly, some breaking news. And I'm not joking here. Tom Pelissero, our friend from the National Football League Network, NFL Network reports the Vikings are signing Harrison Phillips to a 2-year contract extension worth up to $19 million with over $13 million guaranteed per sources.
Get that man his money. Pay that man his money.
I believe he was going to be a free agent, so he is now locked up for 2 more years beyond this one.
Harry, he's been a good, solid defensive player for the Minnesota
Vikings. If cast
Vikings.
correctly, he's very solid.
Let's get him in here. He is the most passionate Vikings fan we know. A master at predicting Vikings draft picks, although he kind of whiffed on this last year's. Randy in Cottage Grove, man.
Script. They went on. I had good information. They just did something different.
Kwesi did? Kwesi went off script?
The information I had was solid, and then he got squirrely, and that's fine because McCarthy's going to be a stud.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have to wait 12 months to see him. But, hey, Sam Darnold looked pretty good in week 1. By the way, what have you been up to all summer? We haven't heard from you since draft season, man.
Well, that is it's a school, by the way, but it was a busy summer. I actually found myself back with some part-time temporary employment.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, nice job, dude. Back on the working path. Okay.
Where are you working now, Randy?
Well, this was a temporary situation, just sort of I was a consultant, as they say, and I was working at a camp for officials in the bowling world. Bowling officials, they have a camp and they learn a lot of things, how to officiate at the highest level. And since I've done that for years, it's sort of a way to give back a little and also make a little extra scratch.
A camp for bowling officials?
Yeah.
Not surprised.
There's officials at the high tournaments. Maybe you never bowled with officials there. If you bowl at a high level, there'll be officials there.
What does an official do at a high level bowling event?
Besides drink.
Well, you can drink. A lot of us do. You can have a couple cocktails, but you got to stay sharp enough to know what's what and what's happening. And the way the game has changed so much. I mean, a lot of the guys aren't even putting their digits, as they say, in the ball anymore. They give it a lot of spin, and you got to make sure everything's on the up and up with the lanes. Make sure the wax patterns are sanctioned, and it's not just as simple as who went over the fault line. A lot of people think that's all it's about.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Is it like NFL officiating where there's different points of emphasis from year to? I mean, we've had like 25 illegal formations. Can we calm down on the illegal formation penalties? By the way, NFL. I don't know what's going on there.
I'll just say this: if you are a professional at anything, you need to take your job seriously, and there's a lot of things at stake in some of these tournaments, and a lot of people want the NFL officials to be full time, don't have your day jobs, or whatever. Well, we think the same thing, for PBA. So figure it out, and I'm part of a group that's trying to get them to make these officials as good as they can be, so that the players who put in the time and the work get rewarded.
It's noble work that you're doing out there.
Year-round
Randy.
bowling officials. 100,000 starting
Full time.
point, as far as I'm concerned.
Benefits, yeah.
Like to see you try to go up against us, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff.
Meet Randy
Jeff
at Sunray Lanes, and then you'll see.
I can't. I'm not allowed back in Sunray for at least 6 months more.
Yikes.
Oh.
How many places have you been thrown out of?
I love Sunray Lanes.
Asked to leave is what they typically say. That thrown out implies I wouldn't leave. I was asked to leave, and I obliged.
Okay,
That's
all right.
good. You're
Okay.
always a good rule follower. So, well, by the way, you can follow Randy on Twitter/X, Randy Vikes 69 for a deeper analysis. But are we to presume that you've brought a week one stud stable to the table here?
I didn't bring the stud stable. They brought it by playing the way they did, and then I just do
fair.
I do what they've earned. And in this case, you bet your ass it's a stud stable, and there's some new faces in it, and I'm ready to go if we want to give some of these guys a little welcome.
Yeah, Judd Deck, you guys ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, this is Randy and Cottage Grove's week one stud stable.
A lot of people didn't know what to make of this team. When McCarthy went down, and a lot of people didn't know if he was going to be the guy to go first, or they were going to give old Sammy Deep D a call. But they went with Sammy as soon as McCarthy got hurt, and Sammy, he earned that nickname. He can throw it deep. Sammy Deep D, you can make it, you can hurl it, and you did. That one you put on the dime to Justin Jefferson. You put it on the spot, as they say. No one makes a throw better than that. We don't miss Kirko one bit with this guy, and you're starting to see that we got an ability here with KOC to go ahead and turn people turn their game up a notch. He's going to get himself paid. Who knows where it's going to be? It might be here, it might be somewhere else. But right now, the first thing you've earned, Sammy Deep D, is a spot in the stable. So, Sam, you are a stud.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy Deep D. Okay. Not sure I'll be using that nickname for him, but,
He's
I like
got a
it.
hell of a touch on the deep ball.
He does. He absolutely
does, definitely.
You are correct about that, Randy.
Yeah, he's a stud.
I can't hear the music, but that's all right. We'll go with the next one now.
It's playing. It's definitely playing.
I can hear it in my
I-
headphones, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's hard to get in the mood,
The
but
bowling music has
here's the second guy in the stable this week, and this is a guy who's going to stay. We're going to stay on offense right now for a guy who came over here, shall we say, from the wrong side of the river. There's one good direction that I-94 flows, and it's going west. And he went west. He came in with that purple sombrero, and he came in and he didn't quite get to triple digits, but he will. He's going to put up. For those of you who play fake, like the fantasy stuff, or any of you who do that, I would recommend picking him up because he's not going to. This ain't going to be his only visit to the stable. But in week one, he rode right in style with the sombrero on. Aaron Jones, you're a stud.
Yeah. I agree, by the way. If you're playing fantasy football, definitely scour the waiver wire and pick up Aaron Jones this week. For sure.
Yeah, he'll be out there, no question.
Super available on waivers. Yep.
Going to go ahead and cruise over to the defensive side of the ball now.
Yeah.
And this is really it's something that a lot of us were excited about this offseason, to go ahead and go get a couple of pieces that can take this to the next level. And I'm talking about a guy, he didn't just make tackles. He didn't just disrupt a few plays. He jumped a route and took it, as they say, to the house. And that's Andrew Van Ginkels. Andrew, you got the flow. It's rocking and rolling, and you're going to give people a little sense of what it's like to have what they call a party animal on defense. You're going to be in the backfield. You're going to be breaking up plays across the middle. Andrew Van Ginkels, you're a stud.
It's not Mr. Bojangles.
And finally,
Van Ginkel, Randy.
Excuse me. And finally, we started out real strong with 3 guys who all came from different squads. But what's happening here is the team is starting to, as they say, gel. They're starting to believe. And that starts at the top. It starts at the top with Kwesi. But Kwesi, I'm going to put you on the shelf for this week because I got to give the top dog his due. And that's KOC. KOC, you're working with what they call clay, and you're molding something, and you're making a team that believes in itself, looks out for each of their brothers, as they say. And we're going to go ahead and beat San Francisco and go 2-0. And a lot of people, that Vegas over under 6.5 or 7, whatever it was, if you bet on that, you're going to be cashing checks halfway through the year. It's going to be a hell of a year to remember. And it started in week 1 with an ass kicking, and it was led by a guy by the name of KOC. Kevin O'Connell, you're a stud.
And away we go.
Yes, there it is.
That was brilliant. Besides the Van Ginkel,
he just left. He's gone.
Oh no, I know he's gone. I'm just saying, as far as his appearance, summarizing his appearance, he was fantastic. I'm glad he's okay, and he's found work, at least temporarily again, which is good because I think he might have been on house arrest the last time we talked to him.
Oh,
yeah, he's
definitely been out of work for a long time.
Randy in Cottage Grove, Randy Vikes 69 on Twitter/X.
Oh, God.
So yeah, he'll be bringing stud and dud stables as he has for years.
My week is complete now.
No, it's not.
My week is complete. No, for Giants week, it's complete.
No, it's not because you haven't busted out that Viking scratch game ticket yet today.
Oh,
then
well,
your
show's
week can
not
really
complete. Yeah, look at this puppy right here. Look at how gorgeous that is. In fact, this is the new Viking scratch game, the official scratch game of the team. You could win up to, look at it right there, $100,000 or second chance prizes, including season tickets or an away game trip. It is only $5, and that is officially exciting. Minnesota Lottery. Just say I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play. I do like how this looks, by the way. I like the washed out old school. That's pretty good there. Vikings classic.
So, hey, last 2 minutes here because I know we got to go record Trevor Plouffe Tuesday on the Scorner Twin Show so we can all just bitch about the Twins for 30 minutes together in a therapy session. But instead of Judd guessing the PFF grades, let's just go over the PFF grades here because, you see them, you peek, you cheat. So it's kind of top 3 highest graded Vikings. You already knew them.
Like twice.
You knew them yesterday.
Like well, yeah, because now I knew that this bit was gone. I think I cheated twice last year.
Oh, I thought you only cheated once. We have to go back and find the other.
Cheated twice.
Blake Brandel, highest graded Vikings player, PFF, 91.2. This is offense. Aaron Jones, 90.9. Sam Darnold, 88.1. Just edging out Brian O'Neill at 85.9. Nice. And Christian Darrisaw, 79. The lowest graded offensive players were Johnny Munt, 39.7, CJ Ham, 40.2, Garrett Bradbury and Ed Ingram, 44.8 and 51.9. Kind of matches up with the eye test from that game, I would say, right?
But yes.
Yeah. And then defense, highest graded defensive players, Andrew Van Ginkels, 90.6.
Mr. Van Ginkels dance.
Harrison Smith, 90.4. Ivan Pace Jr., Harrison Phillips, Josh Metellus, all right in there at 82.2, 80.3, 80.2.
Oh, man.
Jihad Ward, Stephon Gilmore, Blake Cashman, all over 74. The lowest graded defensive players were Dallas Turner, 40.7. Patrick Jones, the second, 41.3. Bobby McCain.
Sacks.
Yeah, so those guys combined for 3 sacks, but were apparently bad in other areas like run defense, and they had some other pass rushing rated very highly.
Yeah.
But Shaq Griffin was also in the bottom range, and Jonathan Grenard they did not like Jonathan Grenard's game here, despite having 5
what I think
pressures.
we found?
So
especially on the defensive side, I think we found that PFF's grading system doesn't always match what we're watching.
For sure.
It feels
and
like
sometimes that can educate you, but it can also feel off from what the impact was on the game.
I think Renard had an impact. He just didn't have a lot of stats. And I'm not saying that this is based on stats. Clearly it's not. But I think defensively, the more that I look at PFF grades after I've watched games, I'm like, I don't think that accurately reflects that player's game.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe a bunch of Giants fans are in there grading the Vikings performance. I have no idea, but those are the PFF grades from the first week. All right, boys, State of the Offense Tuesday here. Tomorrow, I'll write that down. Wednesday, we will have film breakdown in the next 24 hours. We will have Thursday coming up. The train keeps rolling here. It's 49ers week. Purple Daily. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.